Microsoft Sam reads Encyclopedia Dramatica. Twilight. Twilight, pronounced toilet, or Why Mormons Shouldn't Write Vampire Fiction, along with its cash cow sequels New Moon, Eclipse, also known as Sparkly Queers vs. Furfags, and Breaking Dawn, are a series of gay vampire romance Harry Potter fan pulp fiction triple ply rolls of bath tissue that appeal to the tiny minds of 16-year-old girls, vampire fags, werewolf story fanboys, and, of course, Jews. Full of one-dimensional characters and completely devoid of originality, the series is comparable to reading the scribblings and shit stains of an epileptic downy coloring, while a strobe light is being shown in its face. It has been rumored that when the first copy of Twilight came off the press, Joyce, Twain, and Faulkner all simultaneously shipped themselves from beyond their respective graves. The book series is easily the worst thing to hit the werewolf genre since Frost, and the worst thing to happen to vampires ever. The entire series of books and movies, which would have been better as a one-season television series on Lifetime then forgotten, have no redeeming value to speak of as either literature or cinema, and should be avoided like the Black Plague. If you want to know just how horrible Twilight is, it's worse than Tara Gillespie's masterpiece My Immortal, because My Immortal was funny. Twilight just makes small children cry. The maddening thing is that Twilight isn't rotting on fanfiction.net like it should be, but making shitloads of cash which funds its BBW authors lard us with Twinkies and Go-Go's. The author is listed in Time magazine's 100 most influential people for catering to the fantasies of 16-year-old girls who wouldn't know a good book if it raped them in the ass. Twilight also supports pedophilia, necrophilia, incest, bestiality and babyfuck. But most importantly, Twilight is a foolproof way for you sick fucks out there to tap that jailbait ass you've been stalking for months. Proven to work better than candy and a bed with tinted windows, also cheaper than movies. Blood. Oh, what? Who doesn't love incest, bestiality, sodomy, homosexuality, necrophilia, and a slight hint of shit fetish all rolled into one? The books are cooking in the cesspool of the modern monster drama genre, where instead of raping the living shit out of victims and actually doing what made vampires notable in the first place, they live among humans, go to high school, and shine like 1,000 crystals under the sundae. Scholars debate to this day whether or not these things can rightfully be classified as vampires, rather than a breed of humanoid leech creatures, given the fact that they shine in sunlight instead of burning and do not turn into bats / have any bat-like characteristics, but still suck blood. However, scholars have found out that the reason they shine is that they are constantly soaking their own cumulative. The majority of the books consist of drawn-out shit dialogue so bad one might consider it having been discharged from Meyer's filthy cunt itself. Each chapter plays out its own little drama-filled emo role-playing session, with more than half of each consisting of characters giving wry smiles, chuckling, hissing, glaring, and raising eyebrows during caput and angst-ridden Lagoria. The stories are written in the first person, from Bella Swan's point of view, but since she's an insipid whore, it's easy for the reader to forget. If you dig a hole in middle-class suburbia and throw in a 16-year-old girl, a self-loathing, fudge-packing, fairy emo vampire and a date-raping pedophile werewolf, you get the gist of the series. Basically it's a fab fest for fat emo cunts who will never get laid. Midnight Sunday. Also known as Twilight 2, Electric Boogaloo, and holy shit, do you really need more Twinkies and ho-has? This book will be the same old stupid crap from the first Twilight, only told from Edward's perspective. Oh, the originality, undeniable proof that Meyer is not only shameless, but also lazy and fat. She gets to recycle all her old dialogue, change a few verbs and nouns and write approximately 2% of a new book. This book plus the following Twilight Night and the movie companion version of the book just prove that Stephenie is just milking these fangirls for all they are worth, and they deserve it for being so stupid to actually like this shit. The fans, also known as Twitterds. There is so much wrong with them, they had to be put in a separate article. For another time. The anti-fans. It should be noted that Twilight haters can be just as full of fail as the fandards. In fact, a shittin' of them are basement-dwelling fat lolcows whose reasons for hating the books range from thinking Stephenie Meyer has a deep-seated agenda to crush the very soul of female empowerment by encouraging romantic union with feminines and extolling the virtues of motherhood, or just pure unbridled but for the series outselling their beloved Harry Potter. Alternatively, they might be faggots who are upset that Stephenie Meyer's books don't follow the rules of vampirism set by Anne Rice, whose groundbreaking works are obviously the standard by which all vampire literature must be judged. In short, the more Asperger's-fueled hatred someone lavishes upon Twilight, the more likely that their reasons for hating it are just as full of faggotry as the fandard's reasons for coming at the very thought of their favorite prissy pale bloodsucker. These reverse-twittereds often sacrifice innumerable hours of their lives venting their nerd rage through painfully overwrought pseudo-intellectual diatribes about just why Twilight sucks so much sweaty nigger-dotting, but they somehow manage to fail even that and instead just show off what a bunch of misguided little 12-year-old fries they are. For examples of such epic fails, see this shitfest of a Tumblr post or just lurk TV tropes for 10 minutes. Product: lurking TV tropes for that long might cause you to go batshit insane. The author: Stephenie Meyer graduated from Brigham Young University with a bachelor's degree in English, receiving the best education you can get from a school which gives the Eucharist and the alcohol-free blood of Christ in the cafeteria. Note the links at the bottom of the college's front page to the Church of Latter-day Saints and the Missionary Training Center. Looking at her writing abilities, she probably just bullshit her away through every class ever. Instead of teaching kids about compound sentences and verbs, she decided to write a book. Why write in first person? It's because the entire series is actually a wet dream that the author had. She wishes she could be Bella, and decided that she could profit from the wet dream. The idea for Twilight came in a wet dream she had about a sparkling vampire in a meadow blabbering on about how hesitant he is to love a mortal. 3 months later, Twilight was written in its way to superstardom. After being hailed as the next J.K. Rowling by Time magazine, Stephenie suffers from a severe case of unwarranted self-importance. Meyer goes so far as to actually brag about how easy it was for her to become an immediate success with all the little 12-year-old girls and stupid fucks out there buying her shit. A side note, all of Meyer's photos try to hide how overweight she actually is. Maybe, if she spent some time jazzercising and less time writing vampire fanfiction, her husband would actually touch her and she wouldn't have to dream about Edward's sparkly cock. Her husband probably just fucks the other 2 wives he's married to and Meyer is just there to make money. It should also be noted that Meyer's taste in music is complete shit, as explained by the fact that she said Linkin Park and My Chemical Romance were inspirations for her, as she wrote the series, some shit about 3 Days Grace too. Here and here, respectively. This explains why so much of the books is spent with the characters angsting about trivial stuff, and proves once and for all that, if you read Twilight, you are an emo. Stephen King is not amused by your faggotry. To further pour salt in the wounds of Twilight fangirls unable to accept the fact that their beloved series is the literary equivalent of a 4-year-old's crayon scribblings, aging act Stephen King came out in early 2009 and expressed his distaste for the series author. Stephenie Meyer can't write worth a darn. She's not very good. Stephen King, telling it like it is, US Weekend Magazine, late January 2009. Naturally, being averse to all forms of logic, truth, and good taste, this statement enraged the armies of Twilight fans around the internet, creating all sorts of delicious drama and fangirl tears. In March 6th, in response to the internet shitstorm made by the interview with Stephen King, USA Weekend started a poll to find out which of 3 authors, King, J.K. Rowling and Meyer, truly had the biggest spam power. Here's the poll. As of August, King held 70% of the vote as the best of a bad bunch and Rowling held about 25%, leaving Stephenie Meyer the greatest and newest thing since lighting a fart in the dust, with about 5%. Some argue that this just might be because King, and comparatively Rowling, are halfway decent writers, while Meyer is a blathering dipshit whose entire alliterative output consists of elaborations in her fat, sexually frustrated fantasies. Controversies. Alleged sexism. Stephenie Meyer, the series author, has been criticized for her portrayal of a weak, helpless female lead who falls madly in love with a man who wants to kill her. Being that she's a Mormon, we can all see where she gets these ideals from. Others disagree and claim that the relationship has fair precedent, citing the common practice of marriages to incarcerated serial killers and the notorious original ending to the movie Terminator. This idea has been backed up by legions of the book's fans, prompting others of the female persuasion to attempt to forcibly remove their extra X chromosome. Robert Pattinson. Unaware of the popularity of the book series or the insanity of its fanbase, the young actor signed in to play Edward Cullen in a 3-movie contract deal in order to hit onto the lead actress. When he found out his mistake, Pattinson took to insulting the book and its author in interviews and appearing in public after long periods of not showering in order to avoid his fans. Of course, this didn't work. There is widespread speculation as to what Pattinson will try next, including possibly gaining 200 pounds and smearing his face with human excrement. We assume that Pattinson's agents are currently negotiating a deviation from the book in the 3rd movie, in which Edward Cullen is unexpectedly killed by Lord Voldemort. Movie. Twilight somehow proved popular enough that a bunch of people made it into a film, which, to the disappointment of many, does not star or feature this guy as Edward. In this abomination of mankind, Rob Pattinson, who signed a contract to play Edward fucking Cullen, the book famous attention man whore. Fangirls all over the world are bitching and whining about how he isn't in the movie, but we all know that when it comes out they'll go see it anyway and have multiple orgasms when Rapets comes onto the screen, giving extreme levels or eye-burning to the people who will see the videos of said orgasms on YouTube for weeks to come. Fucking things up like always, the Americans had to get the cheapest surefire hunk in the market to wet the panties of its fanbase, particularly one who has already established his name with the tweenie market, starring in things with Daniel Radcliffe. As he was killed off during the final scenes of The Goblet of Fire, Cedric Diggory Ackerpets was looking for anything he could get to tide him over, until he got the check for the Dolly movie. Poor guy didn't know what he was getting himself into, until it was too late and he was signed up for 3 movies. Send him fan letters with ideas in how to get fired, because try as he might it just hasn't happened yet. He might pass your tips on to Kristen Stewart Acapella, who also wants out. Conclusion. As you are probably well aware, Twilight is shit. You may have even read the book ironically and written about how terrible it is on your blog, because you're totally original like that. Congratulations, have a cookie. But inevitably, despite the atrocity to literature that is Twilight, it has still sold over 100 million copies, which makes it statistically better than anything you will ever write down. Cannot disregard that, I suck cocks. Twilight is the worst literature in existence, and you could draw a picture of a phallus jizzing on the face of a goth, and it would still be more artistic, better written, deeper and just superior to Twilight. Of course, we all know who the real winner is here, don't we? Side note, real men watch Daybreakers, a shit film about, vampires and stuff. Notable for the fact that nothing happens in the first hour of screen time, closely followed by a half-hour segment comprised almost entirely from artistic shots of fake intestines. Also notable for the fact that the vampires fucking explode when killed, and that the only hot girl in the entire film becomes an emo vampire gargoyle and becomes an hero through self-immolation. Side note, I am not referring to the lolly at the start. Why would you even think that, you sick fuck? No more Twilight? Sad face. Last Thursday, Stephenie Meyer announced that she was sick of Twilight and had moved in, i.e., she'd already gotten as much money and praise from her moronic fans as she needed, so she decided to turn her literature-raping fanfiction to other fandoms. In said interview, she even said she'd kill one of the main 3 characters if she ever returned to the series. The resulting butthurt from fans was strong, so much so that Meyer was actually forced to respond to them for once. However, even in his response, she said pretty much the same thing, saying the series doesn't bring her much joy anymore. She implies that this is because all the negativity the series has gotten, with critics, other authors, trolls and even fans saying that Meyer is a fucking terrible writer. In other words, she said, another victory for the internet. The best part about all this is that the hardcore fans, such as Matimidum3575, are finally being forced to face the truth. Their fapfest is utter shit, and even the author admits it. Typical of Twilight fans, rather than take this as a wake-up call and move on with their own lives, they choose instead to act all emo and whiny about it. Not that that's a bad thing, as it means more lulls for the rest of us. No suicides have been reported as of yet, but we can all hope that it's only a matter of time.